Hello and welcome everyone to the first ever Tiny Table Talk discussion for the challenge, Season 35, Total Madness. This is something that I've been wanting to do for so long, and so every single week I'm going to be doing a more of a discussion show on the challenge episode that happened that week. I'm going to be bringing up topics that I think are pertinent from that episode and then talk to everybody about them, giving more of my candid reactions to them and just kind of just throwing out the discussions. So with that being the case, let's start the show. And I think that the song choices, the aesthetics, the cargo plane, the opening the doors with the red lights splashing TJ's face and taking roll call and driving the tanks and this daily challenge, I think it was all there. I loved it. I want to give a shout out to the editing team at MTV. This was edited in a way that was awesome. I think that the showrunners and the producers were really inspired by 1917, the movie, as you can see some of the shots moving throughout the camera frame, and then something would come in and it would go either to a confessional or maybe to a different spot on the daily challenge altogether. It just made the episode feel like it was flowing a little bit more. The title cards is something straight out of the 1917 movie trailer and movie poster, as you can see. And also that the aesthetic of tanks and the theme of this challenge season is very much like it. I really appreciated it. I loved it. I think this is one of the reasons why it's taken so long to get this challenge season out to us. We had a little bit longer of an off season than we're used to. I think they wanted to take their time in the editing of this challenge season in a way that it just made things look so much better. I think that a lot of the competitors actually wanted the showrunners and the producers of MTV to get inspired by a different Oscar movie, and that was Parasite, so that way they could live in a very nice, luxurious house with a big old yard and a ton of sunlight. But hey, you win some, you lose some. The first daily challenge of this season of the challenge was called Battle Lines. And I think this was a fantastic daily challenge to have right off the bat. This was like a litmus test to test people's strength and mental aptitude. It had you pulling this barrel. You had to pull it in 3 different ways. You have to solve not only a puzzle, but also a math problem. I think this one showed a lot of the people's strengths and weaknesses, and it just shows what kind of level that we're dealing with, and it kind of gives off the field to the rest of the challengers and competitors of this challenge season. But when I think more towards the elimination of this episode called Airstrike, I felt as though it's very lackluster. I think it's one of those eliminations that look better on paper than it does in the execution of it. I mean, it's just 2 people hanging on a trapeze with a windshield in between, and I feel as though that if it wasn't for Asaf going like hardcore, like he was trying to kick in the windshield of his ex-fiance's like Hummer or something, that it would have just been 2 guys hanging off of a trapeze, and it would have been more of an endurance competition, which would have been really kind of boring to watch. At the moment, I'm not super happy about the airstrike, but we've seen some little snippets of eliminations gonna be coming on this season of the challenge, so I feel as though they're just gonna keep ramping up as we keep going through the season, and I can't wait for that personally. It's the hug heard around the world. The one major announcement that happened during this episode of the challenge is that longtime rivals Johnny Bananas and Wes Bergman have set aside their differences and decided to join forces to help each other make it far into this challenge season. A lot of people had their minds blown by this announcement, and it's difficult to think about because they've been so much at each other's throats for years and seasons now that they have been the solo hero of their own stories. That can these 2 Batmans work together and become Nolan's Dark Knight, or will it turn into Clooney's Batman and Robin? I think that when they first started their challenge careers, I feel as though their rivalry was very much heated and came from a very real place. They wanted to take each other out every single season. They wanted to get the best of each other every single season, and now I feel as though they use it to get clout from one another, that people and longtime fans of the challenge love to see them interact with one another on the challenge on their social media. It's fun to see them take jabs at one another. But realistically, you look back at their recent history, Johnny Bananas is wearing Wes's face on his Christmas sweaters. And I know what you're saying, that it's another dig at Wes, but come on, would you really wear your least favorite person's face on the sweater? I don't think so. I also think that Wes has something to do with that. I feel as though Wes signed some papers and maybe is getting a cut of those sweaters. And also, Wes came on Johnny's First Look TV show and did the Maury Povich show. I mean, this isn't necessarily a real rivalry. In my opinion, I think it's been a frenemy type of relationship for years now. But this is what they like to do, right? They bring up this rivalry, they build it, they feed it for years and seasons, and then they get to flip it up on their heads. It's like WWE, one's a hero, one's a heel. Now they're joining up to be one of the biggest tag team partnerships of all time. This is something we've been all waiting for them to announce that they're working together. And even Johnny loved to do it because he got to be on a commercial that played during the challenge season where he was almost going to do like the Tom Brady fake retirement commercial that happened during the Super Bowl, and then he talked about how he's working with Wes. They got a commercial out of it, so they got even more clout by it. So this is just feeding into the Bananas Wes type of rivalry. Also, talking about Wes, I want to bring up how he surprised me during this premiere episode of the Challenge Season 35, and not in a good way. So I want to mainly highlight what happened during the nomination ceremony when everyone was voting for either Asaf or Jay, and then Asaf essentially uses his vote as a burn vote to take a shot at Wes, and Wes pops off on him and makes a huge big deal about him saying Wes's name. And for me, I feel as though that Wes is a very strategic person, and for him to just pop off on this rookie and make it a bigger deal than it was. Wes was not going in at all, and to make it a bigger deal than it was, it kind of puts, I think, more of a target on his back than what there was already. And I get it, Wes wants to change how his game is played, but when you're playing a game for so long in the challenge and now you want to just change it on a dime, it doesn't happen that way. What the challenge is how you play the game, but also how people perceive you. And Wes's resume and the way people perceive him has been documented for years and seasons, and it's going to be hard to shake that. And I also want to point out what Asaf said about Wes and wanting to take out Wes and kind of take a shot at one of the best or a boss. I feel as though that gave me like memories of what happened in War of the Worlds when JP said the same thing about wanting to take a shot at CT, the legend, and it led to CT being put into that elimination and being taken out early that season. With a new challenge season comes a new batch of rookies or prospects. I think they're trying to ban the name rookie, but you'll always be rookies in my books. So with that, I'm going to give my rookie reviews, starting off with the male rookies, and we're going to start off with my top male rookie from this episode, and that is Fessy. He kicked butt in the daily challenge, and the house deems him as a very big physical threat, and he's coming in with an entourage, thus why he didn't get thrown into the first elimination of the season. And it could help him as he is a very big guy, he's boisterous, and if he can win some tribunals, then he's going to be pretty sailing clean into very far into this season. The next one we have is Swaggy C. Didn't have a lot of screen time this episode, didn't get a lot of confessional time at all, realistically, but the main thing that's helping him in this game is him coming in with his allies, and mainly his fiance/wife, Bailey Dayton, as a lot of people deem her as a very big threat or a very big ally, so they don't want to piss her off by going after Swaggy. So realistically, Swaggy's best attribute in this game is his wife. Jay was thrown into the first elimination due to his lack of ties and his stature, but he won that elimination, which bodes well for him. But we've seen in the past that if you get thrown into one elimination, you're more apt to go back into elimination, especially if you're a rookie. We've seen this happen on plenty of challenge seasons. Wes and Casey in Fresh Meat. You have Brandon from Cutthroat. So Jay is not out of the clear just yet, but winning that elimination definitely bodes well for him. And of course, Asaf, he's a very serious competitor, but we've seen him on a ton of different reality shows. So we know he has that social game that could help him, but we saw him throughout the first episode kind of keeping to himself, only staying around Nani, hanging around Jay only. So he took this very seriously, and I think that could have played a factor into why he was thrown in. Also lack of ties, also his stature, and his rookie status. Let's go on to the female rookies, and we're gonna start off with the number 1 female rookie so far, and that is Bailey Dayton. Already has a stellar reputation of somebody you don't want to piss off, or she is somebody that you want to work with, which bodes well for her. As I mean, we saw CT say he didn't want to say Swaggy's name because then you would have to deal with Bailey. And then Jenny in the tribunal talking said that she didn't want to go after Swaggy C because Bailey is a strong competitor and she wants to work with her as the season progresses. Absolutely incredible reputation to come in to a challenge season, your rookie challenge season in episode 1. Casey is laying low, chilling, getting a lay of the land, talking to everybody, maybe going to be bouncing around from alliance to alliance, trying to stay low, maybe do well in daily challenges, but kind of like keep her alliance open. And then we have Jennifer Lee. We got to see her in one confessional. Also, she was seen talking to Johnny and Wes in the beginning of this challenge episode. However, she wasn't in a ton of the beginning or the premiere at all. She also said at one point that going on The Amazing Race had prepared her to come on the challenge. Her Amazing Race experience is that she lost out and was gone in episode 1. Luckily, there was a guys elimination in episode 1, so she's now made it farther in the challenge than she did in The Amazing Race. But if it was a women's elimination, she could have possibly been thrown in. Now I like to give my ranks of the top 3 men and women of the episodes. So starting out with the women, I'm gonna say at number 3, I have the Holy Trinity coming up with an alliance name, and these 3 could do some damage with one another in the challenge house. So you gotta keep your eyes on them. At number 2, I have D, because she's coming in, she beasted on that daily challenge, coming in 2nd place. She was only one of 2 girls to make it to the very end of that daily challenge. She's coming in with a lot more friends. She's looking like she's beasting, ready to just come at it. She's coming off of a win, and she's looking like even better than last season. And then we have Jenny winning the first daily challenge, making it into the tribunal, making moves happen. So I have her at number 1. And now let's go on to the men. At my number 3, I have Jay for winning his first elimination. Not good to go into your first elimination in episode 1, but winning it, beasting it out. I'm so happy for him and glad he's on the challenge. My number 2 is Fessy for beasting it out in that daily challenge and also being deemed as a physical threat right off the bat in the first episode. Good job for him. I have very high hopes after seeing how good he did in this episode. And my number 1 guy of this episode, I have to give it up to Rogan. He beasted out on that daily challenge, gets his way into the first tribunal of the season, uses his power to possibly get Corey and Kyle on his side as the numbers in this house. He's coming in without Joss, his number 1 friend and fan. So I think he made some moves, and he definitely did the most to try to bolster his way farther into the game as the game progresses. As we wrap up this show, I would like to now take some comments that I got from the comment section of my Thursday video from the challenge. So if you want your comment to be possibly read for this Friday show, make sure you go watch that on Thursdays and then comment, and then I'll be searching through those comments and picking out 5 every single episode. Our first comment comes from 789ESG. They say, not to be the biggest dork of all time, but all of them answered the math questions, I guess incorrectly, but he said correctly. They were going just left to right while they should have done the division first. Just saying. I saw this critique on Twitter a lot, and I think I agree with you that they are supposed to do multiplication and division first, and then going through adding and subtracting. But if they were told off screen to just go left to right, and there's a producer standing behind them giving them the thumbs up or the thumbs down, if they are giving them the thumbs up if they do the right a procedure or not, then it's on them. The next one we have is from Julia H-W. TJ looked so happy in that tank. I was living vicariously through TJ in the beginning of this episode as he was just having so much fun driving that tank, destroying people's barrels, making people be eliminated, and he was just having the grand old time. His laugh is everything on every single challenge season. Next one we have is V Rotosva. OMG, the freaking music. Back in the day, the challenge always had good music. They really stepped it up in the premiere. The beginning song with the whole aesthetic of the beginning was just perfect. I don't know, it gave me goosebumps every time I watched it, and I just think they couldn't have done anything better about that. And yes, throughout the rest of this episode, I do agree that they just amped up the songs. I thought last season was good with kind of like the throwback songs, but this one was just so much better. Solia says, I'm curious to see if they ever touch on the fact that Jay's ex possibly cheated on him and got together with Bananas, or that Tori and Asaf were on the same Are You the One season. I can tell you right now, they're probably not going to talk about the Are You the One situation now that Asaf is like off this season. But I thought it was weird that in either the lower thirds of both Asaf and Jay, and when they were giving their like reality TV resumes, Jay only mentioned Survivor and Asaf mentioned every single thing he's done except for MTV properties. And I just thought that was really weird. Why wouldn't you put that in the forefront that you might have seen me on Survivor and X on the Beach? I'm sure that Jay and Bananas' whole Morgan situation will be brought up at some point. We did see in the nomination portion of this episode that Banana was quick to say Jay's name. So I'm sure that's not going to be a non-factor heading into the season. And the final comment comes from Jade O. They're talking about the Wes and Bananas teaming up finally. They said, I always thought they just wanted to make it seem like they're rivals in case they do another season of Rivals, so they would partner them together. Laughy face emojis. I had that same exact thought. Like, they kept building up this rivalry that I feel as though they can't just like turn back now. But now they did turn back, and now they're going to be together. But we'll have to wait and see how this whole thing turns out. Will they be friendly with each other for the whole season, or will one of them try to stab the other one in the back the first opportunity they get? We have to wait and see. But that's it for the tiny table talk for the challenge Total Madness. Thank you so much for watching. What do you think about the Wes and Bananas team up? Do you think they're going to be good forever, or do you think that they're going to turn on each other and the rivalry is just going to be as fiery as ever? Let me know that in the comment section below. Who are you rooting for? Who's your favorite? Let me know that in the comment section as well. And what do you think about the show? What can I improve on? What do you think could be improved on? Did you enjoy it? Let me know that too. And also, while you're down there, hit that like and subscribe button. I'll be back really, really soon with a lot more challenge content throughout the whole challenge Total Madness. I got top 10s, top 5s, fantasy cast videos, deep dives, brief histories. I also have the challenge review and recaps on Thursdays and Survivor review and recaps on Thursdays as well. And I got more stuff just cooking up in here, more general content. But keep your eyes peeled for that. Thank you so much for watching, and until then, peace.